Hey guys, thanks for the click. I have a blast gate connected to my laser's exhaust system. And in this video, I'm going to show you what I added to my blast gate to help remind me to close the blast gate door after a long day of lasering. This was a fun project, so let's go ahead and get this project started, okay? Let's go.
Well guys, this is my laser, and I have a blast gate that is connected to my exhaust system that is directly behind the machine. Now, can you tell if the blast gate is currently opened or closed? No, and neither can I because it's out of sight behind the machine. And sometimes I leave the blast gate open after I turn off my laser for the day or the weekend, and that's not a good idea. So let me move the laser and zoom in a bit so you can see what I'm dealing with. The blast gate is simply a door that you can open and close to block out the outside elements from creeping into your laser through the exhaust hose. So it's very important that when your laser is turned off and not in use, that this blast gate door is closed, because you don't want the outside temperature and humidity to react with the inside temperature of your laser, because sometimes this reaction can cause condensation inside of your laser cavity. So to help remind me to close this door, I'm going to install a switch to the blast gate door that is connected to a light that will inform me if the door is opened or closed. I'll now remove the exhaust duct so you can get a better look at the blast gate door. With the exhaust hose removed, you can now clearly see that when I open the blast gate door that there is a direct path to the outside elements. And you can actually see sunshine when I push open the outside louver vents. So let me go ahead and unscrew this blast gate from the window and take it to my workbench so we can attach that switch. Now that I have the blast gate on my workbench, let me show you the switch that I'm going to use to turn the light on and off. Now this little gadget here is called a micro switch. It has this little spring-loaded lever here that is always in the up position. And when pressure is placed on this lever, it pushes down on this little red button right here. You'll see me push down on it and it presses down on that little button. And when that button is pressed down, it'll activate the switch and either turn it on or off depending on how you have it wired. There are markings on the switch that will help you to determine how to wire it. The outer post is your common, marked with a C, and the other side you have two posts, one marked with NC, which means normally closed, which means the light will be on, and the middle post, which is marked with NO, means normally open, which means the light will be off. So I'm going to wire it to the common and the NC post because when the switch is in this position, I want the light to be on. So I cut a small piece of super strong 3M double-sided adhesive and I stuck it to the back of the micro switch. And now I'm going to remove the protective adhesive backing and stick the micro switch to the blast gate. It's probably overkill, but I now screw in two tiny screws that will really hold this switch into place. Next, I attach and solder two wires to the common and normally closed posts. Then I place some heat shrink on the two solder connections and I use a heat gun to tighten the heat shrink around the connections. Now that the switch is firmly secured, I can now show you that when I close the blast gate door, it pushes down on the lever which will turn off the light. And when I open the door, the spring-loaded switch goes up, once again activating the switch, which will now turn on the light. Now that this step is complete, let me quickly show you how I made my light box. I bought this small shadow box from Michael's for $1, and I sprayed the inside white and the outside black. After it dried, I took it back to my craft room. The materials I'm going to use is a small piece of USB cable, some leftover cob LED lights, and a small piece of translucent plexiglass. I load the box into my Mira 7 laser and I cut a small hole on the bottom of the box for the USB cable. I now stick the cob LED lights to the inside of the box. I feed the USB cable through the hole and I solder it to the strip. I now plug the USB to power to ensure the strip lights up. I now engrave and cut out the plexiglass piece that I will screw to the top of the box. And here's the completed light box powered on. So now it's time for me to connect the two wires from the micro switch to the USB cable. I temporarily hung the LED light box on the wall so that I could mark the spot where the micro switch wires line up perfectly with the USB cable. I made a mark at this location. Once on the workbench, I find the mark and I grab my X-Acto knife and I begin to carefully slice into the USB cable's insulation so that I can gain access to the red and black wires that are inside. I now pull out the red wire and I cut it using a pair of wire cutters. I now solder two small male quick connectors to the two ends of each one of the red wires. I push down the heat shrink tubing over each one of the connections and I shrink them down using the heat gun. So now I will temporarily apply power to the USB cable, and since there was an open in the circuit because I cut the red wire, the light will be out. But when I close the circuit by touching these two connections back together, the light will turn on. So now all I have to do is connect the micro switch from the blast gate to these two male quick connectors. Alright guys, I now have the blast gate on the workbench, and earlier I soldered female quick connectors to the end of each one of the wires coming from the micro switch. These connectors will easily connect with the male connectors on the USB cable. So let me go ahead and quickly connect everything together. I'll start off by quickly connecting the USB cable to the power, followed by connecting each wire from the micro switch to each end of the USB female connectors. These quick connectors really make it easy. Okay, let's go ahead and check this circuit out. The first thing I'll do is I'll open the door and the light comes on. So now let's go ahead and close the door. Close the door and the light goes off. Let's do it again. Open, on, closed, off. So now that I know the circuit is working great, I'll take everything from the workbench and I'll hook it back up to the Mira 7's exhaust system. Let's go. Well guys, that's going to wrap up this video. If you enjoyed this video or even learned a thing or two, please like and click that subscribe button. And if you're thinking about buying a neon laser, please tell them Rico sent you. And finally, I connect the USB cable to a 5-volt USB adapter and I do a little cable management to make everything look neat. And I push the laser back to its original place. Okay, now let me ask you the same question I started the video with. Is my blast gate door open or closed? Yep, now with just a quick glance, I now have a visual indicator that tells me my door is open. And since I'm done lasering for the day, I can now close my blast gate door and rest assured that the outside temperature conditions will not creep into my laser through the exhaust and cause condensation. So until my next video, have a great day and keep lasering.